Yes. Thank you very much. So I shortened the title a little bit. This presentation, so large-scale ice-tsunami experiment. So what will I talk about? A bit of background, what ice-tsunamis are, then about experiments. So we conducted them in the wave basin, in the Deltares, and present some selected results, maximum wave parameters, then comparison with landslide-tsunamis, which is a quite established research field in comparison to iceberg tsunamis. And I talk about the maximum wave height decay and make some conclusion and outlook. So what are iceberg tsunamis? So here is shown an example. So this was actually Semina case in 2014 in Western Greenland. There was this outlet glacier here, and it discharged the ice into this fjord. And we see here the front of this front here. It's about 200 meters high. And in 2014, nearly 1 million cubic meters of ice detached, fall into the water and generated this nearly 50 meter large amplitude wave. So this is what I call iceberg tsunamis. So those people here who studied this, they also compared it with landslide tsunamis equation. So they predicted the same event with landslide tsunamis equations, and they came up with a similar wave height. And one motivation for this study was really to check if this is really the case for all iceberg tsunami events, if you can really compare them with landslide tsunamis equations. That was one motivation for us. So, the calving events, they can be different, so the ice masses can impact into the water in different ways. So we see it, they can impact vertical into the water, or they can overturn into the water, or the same thing can happen below the water surface. And we investigated in these experiments 5 different idealized cases. The first one, I call it capsizing case. You have just the ice mass in the open water, you just capsize it, overturns. And then some waves. Then the second case, I call it gravity-dominated fall case. So the ice mass falls essentially into the water, vertical. Then you can have the same scenario if the ice mass moves to the water surface. We call this velocity-dominated fall case. And then the ice mass can also overturn. So this is a case B. So this is the gravity-dominated overturning case. So it impacts like this. Or the buoyancy-dominated overturning case. So it comes to the water surface like this. So we wanted to investigate those 5 idealized cases in the experiments, and then also to compare the tsunamogenic potential between those different cases. Experiment here in Deltares. In the big wave basin, so it's 50 by 50 meters, you can include everything, and beach and everything. So between the beaches is still quite impressive, it's 34 by 40 meter large. You will see parts of our setup just to handle the ice masses here at the wave basin. Then we also conducted experiments offshore, so these were these capsizing cases, so we had a bridge. So here is the ice mass, and it overturned. Then this is a image from the large ice mass. So this is the block is about 190 kilogram heavy, but it has the same density as ice. And this is our group here at one of the days. We conducted experiments back in 2017, so in August 2017. So this is a third view, the side view, some sketches to illustrate what was going on. So this is the ice mass here. And what I really want to show here, what is important is this radial distance here from the impact, so this parameter, and also the wave propagation angle. Lambda is quite important. Then we have different measurement systems, so we conducted 73 experiments. So quite important was a 9-degree of motion sensor. We attached this to the surface of the mass, and we measured the kinematics and the velocity and the position of the mass. Then we had up to 35 wave probes that are shown here, and we arranged them in semicircles up to a distance of 35 times the water depth away. The water depth was up to 1 meter, so up to 35 meters away. And then we had a couple of cameras. So here I show some videos. You see what was going on here. So this is the capsizing case. So it is in the open water, and this is the ice mass there, and I just let it go there, and it generates some tiny small waves. So we need quite a large wave to measure them. So there are only some millimeter in this case. Then another case I would like to show is the gravity-dominated pole case. So this is the big mass and impact into the water. It's holding position with an electromagnet. So now we let it go. Impact moves up to the water surface. It generates quite a bit of larger tsunamis. And then the last video I would like to show is one of a buoyancy-dominated overturning case. So now the mass is underwater here, and now it rotates to the water surface relative to a fixed axis. So here it comes. It generates quite small waves in this case. Okay, so then we have a look into the parameters which we think are important for the ice tsunami amplitude, height, and field, things like this. So they are listed there on the right. The first important parameter is the release energy. So this is basically the energy of the iceberg in the initial position minus the energy of the iceberg in the final position. This is the maximum available energy you can use to produce waves. So this is an important parameter. Then the water depth, 0.75 to 1 meter. The velocity, this is just the maximum velocity of the mass, which was up to 4 meters. Iceberg thickness we varied, iceberg width, iceberg volume, and then the iceberg density, water density, and the gravitational acceleration are constant. So then we mix them together in dimensionless groups to express the result. So here are then the 6 dimensionless parameters we think have an effect which can describe our problem. So it's relative to Green's energy, then the fruit number, which is essentially the velocity of the mass, the iceberg thickness, the relative iceberg width, the relative iceberg volume, and the relative density. So we use essentially the water depth in most cases to make those parameters dimensionless. Right, so some results. So the first thing I would like to show are wave profiles. So you see here the free water surface over time, and we selected one experiment for each calving mechanism, right? So on top here we have the capsizing one, gravity-dominated pole one, etc. And they are all measured quite close to the source, 2 meters away, at the wave probe where we measured the maximum wave height. Right? So what do we see here? Well, it's quite a mess. So those iceberg tsunamis are quite nonlinear wave group, and the maximum height is typically somewhere in the middle of the wave plane. It's not the first wave. And what you also see, the wave heights are very, very different, large. So if you have a look here, so it's here plus minus 3 millimeter, here it's plus minus 60 millimeters, so it's a factor 20. If you have a look, then the gravity-dominated case, so this one, they generate much larger iceberg tsunamis than the other cases. So this was a kind of a nice result for us to see that, or to quantify this effect. Right, so then we tried to do a bit of correlation, so to come up with the maximum wave height, we just lumped all data together, all 5 calving mechanisms together in this diagram here. So we have the maximum relative wave height, made dimensionless with the water depth, and then we have this dimensionless parameter here on the x-axis. And we just played around with those until we reached the best possible correlation. And then we predicted this with this empirical equation, and then the same for the maximum wave amplitude over there. And here are the equations, and what can we see here? So the fruit number has the largest exponent, so this is quite an important parameter. Then the relative slide width P is also quite important, and this released energy is also quite important, and the other 3 parameters are less important. Then what we see here for all data, as well, the black points, which are the gravity-dominated cases, are much higher up than the gray points, which are the capsizing and the buoyancy-dominated cases, are all down here, so here we zoom in. The black ones are much, much larger. So overall experiments, we can also say that the tsunami height from the gravity-dominated is roughly an order of magnitude larger than the tsunamis generated by the buoyancy cases. So this is a conclusion over all data as well. And what we see here, if you zoom in here, well, the empirical equation fits all right up here, but down here, you have probably to fit those weaker tsunamis. So they are a bit overestimated in this diagram. Then one motivation for this study was to compare these iceberg tsunamis with landslide tsunamis, because landslide tsunamis, so if a landslide impact to the water, is a very well established research field for 100 years or so. So there's a lot of knowledge there around. So we wanted to compare it with iceberg tsunamis, because iceberg tsunamis is pretty much a new research field. So what we show here is the maximum wave height measured in the experiment, so the iceberg tsunamis, and then on the y-axis the prediction based on landslide tsunamis from errors we conducted the study. So if the data points collapse on the 45-degree line, then we would have perfect agreement, we would perfectly predict our iceberg tsunamis with landslide tsunamis observation. Works pretty well up here for the violent gravity-dominated cases, but then not so well here, and down here it's quite off, but it worked very well down there. So it was a kind of expected for us, because the physics is just very, very different for the buoyancy-dominated cases. Then the last result I would put out is the decay. So obviously you don't only need to know the maximum wave height, you also want to know how they decay with distance from the source. So what is shown here in this scattering diagram is the maximum wave height here, and then they are mixed together with these dimensionless parameters I showed earlier. And the y-axis is a bit simpler, it's just the distance from the source. So what we see is how the maximum wave heights decay along the different wave flows with distance. So yes, you can predict them more or less with quite a bit scattered. So all data are lumped together again here. But what comes out quite nicely, I think, is the decay pattern, the overall decay pattern. Right? So this is given by this relative distance height minus 0.9. That's how the wave decays. And this agrees actually quite well with theory. So theory predicts a wave from a point source decays with relative distance height minus 1. It's pretty close to that. And also landslide tsunami studies, some of them also predict this decay. Okay, I've already come to the conclusions. So we conducted these 73 large-scale experiments at Deltares in the big wave basin. We investigated 5 different idealized iceberg calving mechanisms. And when the icebergs falling into the water, they generate in average roughly an order of magnitude larger tsunamis than the other cases. We came up with empirical equations so far, so with the features. Then the wave height decays with a decay relation close to the theoretical relation, which is this one here. Good agreement with the theory, and the landslide tsunami prediction fails to capture the physics of most cases. It works pretty well for very violent cases, but not so well for other ones. A bit of outlook. So we want to look in more detail into the wave parameters for each individual calving mechanisms. So we did that actually already. We want to compare the results with an analytical solution. There's a paper out there from Russian colleagues, and also compared with field observation. And then Fan is one of my PhD students. He's working with OpenFOAM, or with a branch of OpenFOAM. It's called Foam Extend. Someone implemented their inverse boundary method, and he added a motion solver, and he's doing this kind of simulation here, so in a larger domain. We can replicate those cases numerically. So that's an outlook, and then I would just like to thank everybody, so all the project partners. There were quite some students involved over the years in this project. Deltares for the excellent support to every kind, and then the funding body. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions? So, thank you very much for the great you showed the magnificent video in the beginning of your presentation with the 50 meters iron tsunami.
Yes, we tried.
You see whether you could do this.
Yes, yes. So we tried actually. First I tried, it didn't work that well, and then my PhD student tried, and it worked perfect. So and then I had a look at his calculation. I think it was the right one. So it works pretty well. The answer. So the problem is if you scale this, I normally take the water depth, or we take the water depth of the fjord to scale it up to come up with a scale factor. And these are uncertainties in the field as well. You don't quite know exactly how large is the water depth. Depending what you select, you can reproduce it quite well. If you select something else, it does less well. So you can tune, let's say, like this. But we also calculate other cases where it really works pretty well, without tuning.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Um, so, so first of all, I tried to, or we tried to compare it with a landslide-tsunami, right? So which is quite similar in the sense that something impacts in the water as well. So we didn't really try to compare it with seismic tsunamis so far. So I'm not quite sure how it would look like a comparison. Not sure if I answered your question. Yeah.
Okay. Investigated into traffic waves.
And not in this study, right? Not in the iceberg tsunami study. I did it in another study with the landslide tsunamis. So yeah, you have to look at those. That's right. Yeah, it's like this. Yeah, and also have it around island. Is it this one? Yeah. Not here. So because I think because this is mainly essentially a glacier front, it doesn't matter so much that the wave cannot do so much damage at the glacier front, I think. In comparison to landslide tsunamis, if you have an island where they can really travel around the whole island and create damage on the back of the island. So for this one, we didn't look really at this. Yes, yeah, right. So this kind of, in our case, we assume it's the water active constant, yes, that's right. So we measured up to 75 degrees. So that was the closest we came to the edge rate. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we have to close this.